Let me start with a truth that might make you uncomfortable. Time does not care about your intentions. Time does not negotiate with your feelings. Time does not slow down because you had a hard week. Time respects only one thing: discipline. And the moment you understand this, your life begins to change. Because excuses talk, but discipline moves. And time only moves with those who move themselves. See, most people think time is against them. That's not true. Time is neutral. Time is a mirror. It reflects who you are consistently, not who you claim you want to be. You don't get paid for your goals. You get paid for your habits. You don't get results from motivation. You get results from structure. When you show time discipline, time shows you progress. When you show time excuses, time shows you regret. Excuses are the currency of the average. Discipline is the language of the elite. An excuse says, I'll start tomorrow. Discipline says, I start now. An excuse looks for comfort. Discipline accepts discomfort as the price of growth. And here's the key: time always sides with the one willing to pay the price up front. Success is not a talent issue, it's a timing issue, and timing is controlled by discipline. You don't rise to the level of your dreams, you fall to the level of your daily routines. If your routine is weak, your future will be weak. Time doesn't reward potential. Time rewards preparation. That's why two people can have the same 24 hours, but one builds a legacy while the other builds excuses. The difference isn't intelligence. The difference is discipline, applied daily, especially when no one is watching. Let me say this clearly: every excuse you make is a silent vote against the future you say you want. Time is always voting too, and it votes every second. Discipline compounds, excuses decay. One builds momentum, the other builds delay. And delay is expensive because time charges interest on procrastination. Let me ask you a question. What happens when your motivation disappears? Because it will disappear. It always does. Motivation is like a firework. It shines bright for a moment and then it's gone. And if you depend on that moment, you will never build anything lasting. You will never reach the heights you dream about. The people who achieve greatness are not the ones who feel motivated every day. They are the ones who understand that motivation is not the fuel that drives success. It's only the spark. Discipline is the engine. Think about it. Every champion, every successful entrepreneur, every leader you admire didn't get there because they felt like it. They got there because they decided to show up day after day, even when they didn't feel like it. That is what discipline is. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't want to do it. It's choosing long-term results over short-term comfort. And here's the truth that most people refuse to accept. Discipline is not something you do when you feel like it. Discipline is something you become. You know why most people fail? Because they wait for the perfect mood, the perfect day, the perfect moment. They think, when I feel motivated, I will work harder. But the problem is, motivation is unpredictable. Motivation is emotional. Motivation depends on your mood, your sleep, your energy, your surroundings, and even your weather. And when those things change, your motivation changes too. That's why the majority of people never complete their goals. They start strong, and then they fade. They fall into the trap of thinking the effort is only required when they feel inspired. But that's not how winners operate. Listen carefully. Discipline is what you use when motivation is gone. Motivation is the beginning. Discipline is the continuation. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you going. The moment you stop relying on motivation, you unlock a level of power most people never experience. You stop being a victim of your emotions and you become the master of your destiny. You begin to control your time instead of allowing time to control you. Here's the real secret. Success is not built on how you feel. It is built on what you do consistently. Consistency is the secret language of time. Time respects those who respect it. Time respects the person who shows up even when it's inconvenient. Time respects the person who keeps their word to themselves. When you make a commitment and you keep it daily, you are telling time that you are serious. You are telling the universe that you are not here to play small. You are here to win. Let me be very clear. Discipline is not about being perfect. Discipline is about being consistent. Discipline is about continuing even when you fail. It is about getting up when you fall. It is about moving forward when you feel like quitting. Discipline is what separates those who talk about their dreams from those who live their dreams. Because dreams without discipline are just fantasies. And fantasies don't create wealth, don't build businesses, and don't change lives. Here's a powerful thought. Discipline is your signature on the page of time. When you are disciplined, you are writing your future every single day. You are creating your destiny one action at a time. And the beautiful thing about discipline is that it becomes easier over time. It becomes a habit. It becomes part of who you are. The more you do it, the stronger you become. The more you do it, the less you need motivation because your actions start to run on autopilot. Discipline becomes your default mode. So the question is not whether you will feel motivated tomorrow. The question is whether you will be disciplined tomorrow. Because the person who wins is not the one who feels the most inspired. It is the one who is most committed. It is the one who has the strength to keep going when the world tells them to stop. It is the one who understands that motivation is temporary, but discipline is forever. And when you live your life through discipline, you will find that time begins to respect you. It begins to reward you. And your results will start to reflect the power of your consistency. Now, ask yourself this. Are you building your life on motivation or are you building it on discipline? The answer will determine everything. Let me ask you something that might sting a little. How many times have you said, I want success, but you never built the daily routine that would make it inevitable? Because wanting success is easy. Everyone wants success. But wanting and doing are two completely different things. Time does not reward what you say you want. Time rewards what you do consistently. That's the harsh truth. And it's the truth that separates winners from dreamers. Time rewards consistency, not intentions. Your intentions are just thoughts. Your actions are what build your life. Think about it this way. If you have a dream but no daily discipline, your dream is nothing more than a fantasy. It's like owning a luxury car but never driving it. It looks good on the outside, but it never takes you anywhere. People often believe that success is a sudden event, like a lightning strike. But success is never sudden. Success is the result of repeated actions, repeated habits, repeated decisions over time. It's the compound effect of small steps taken consistently. And this is where most people fail. They expect big results without building big routines. They want to win without training. They want to earn without learning. They want to grow without growing up. Here's the reality. Your life is the sum of your daily habits, not your yearly goals, not your monthly plans, not your weekly motivations. Your life is what you do every single day. If you want to change your life, you must change your daily routine. You must change your standard of living. You must change what you allow yourself to do when no one is watching, because that is where the real work happens. That is where your future is created. When you consistently do the right things, even when you don't feel like it, time begins to work in your favor. Consistency is the secret weapon of the successful. It is not glamorous. It is not loud. It is not exciting, but it is powerful. Consistency is the quiet force that builds empires. It is the invisible muscle that strengthens your character. It is the discipline that turns ordinary people into extraordinary leaders. And here is the key. Time does not care about your goals. Time cares about your habits. Goals are destinations. Habits are the vehicle. If your vehicle is weak, you will never reach your destination, no matter how beautiful your goal is. Let me ask you a question. What do you do every day that moves you towards your goals? If you can't answer that, you are not consistent. You are not building your future. You are simply drifting through time, hoping something good will happen. But time does not reward hope. Time rewards action. Time rewards discipline. Time rewards consistency. And that's why you must create a routine that aligns with your goals. You must build a schedule that supports your dreams. You must become someone who shows up day after day, regardless of the circumstances. Here's another powerful truth. Consistency creates confidence. When you consistently take action, you begin to trust yourself. You begin to believe in your ability. You begin to build momentum. And momentum is what makes success inevitable. Once you start moving, it becomes easier to keep moving. Once you build a habit, it becomes harder to break it. Your consistency becomes your identity. And when your identity changes, your results change. You stop being a person who wants success and become a person who produces success. Now, listen closely. Your intentions are not your legacy. Your actions are. You can talk about your dreams until your voice is hoarse, but if you don't back your words with consistent action, nothing will change. The world does not care about what you intend. The world cares about what you deliver. And time rewards the person who delivers consistently. Time rewards the person who keeps showing up. Time rewards the person who builds a routine and sticks to it. So if you want time to respect you, stop living on intention. Start living on consistency. Because the person who wins is not the person who wants it the most. It's the person who does it the most day after day without fail. Let me ask you a question that will expose your true level of commitment. When you don't get what you want, do you blame your circumstances or do you blame your excuses? Because excuses are the easiest way to protect your ego from the truth. Excuses are the stories we tell ourselves to justify why we didn't take action. They are the comfortable lies that keep us from facing the real reason we are not progressing. And here is the problem. Excuses are not harmless. They are not just words. Excuses are a lifestyle. They are a mindset. They become the invisible chain that holds you back from your potential. You see, excuses are the enemy of progress because they steal your power. When you make an excuse, you give away your responsibility. You shift the control from your hands to someone else's hands. You say, I couldn't because, and you leave your future in the hands of external factors. But let me tell you something powerful. The moment you stop making excuses, you take back your power. You take back your authority. You become the leader of your life again. You stop waiting for permission and you start taking control. Here's the truth. Excuses are comfort dressed as reasoning. They sound reasonable because they are designed to protect you from discomfort. They tell you, it's okay, you tried, but trying is not enough. Trying is just the beginning. Success requires action, and action requires courage. Excuses are the easy way out. They allow you to stay safe, stay small, and stay in your calm. Fort zone. But comfort zones do not produce greatness. Comfort zones produce regret. Comfort zones produce mediocrity. And time does not respect mediocrity. Let me be blunt. Excuses are not a problem of time. They are a problem of character. Time does not slow down because you are afraid. Time does not pause because you are uncertain. Time does not wait because you are not ready. Time keeps moving. Time keeps marching forward. And if you keep making excuses, time will pass you by. You will look back one day and realize you wasted years defending your inaction with reasons that no one else cared about. Because the world does not reward excuses. The world rewards results. Here's a powerful principle. Your excuses become your identity. If you constantly say, I don't have time, you will become a person who doesn't have time. If you constantly say, I'm too tired, you will become a person who is always tired. If you constantly say, I'm not ready, you will become a person who is never ready. Your words shape your reality. Your excuses shape your destiny. And the moment you change your words, you change your life. When you replace excuses with accountability, you start to build momentum. You start to build confidence. You start to build a life that matches your dreams. Let me ask you a question. What is the excuse you tell yourself most often? Because that excuse is the gatekeeper of your future. That excuse is the thing that keeps you from reaching your next level. And once you identify it, you can dismantle it. You can replace it with action. You can replace it with discipline. You can replace it with a new mindset. And that's the key. You don't need motivation to remove excuses. You need clarity. You need commitment. You need a decision. You need to decide that your future is more important than your comfort. Excuses are the enemy because they create a false sense of progress. They make you feel like you are doing something when in reality you are doing nothing. They keep you busy with reasons while your dreams quietly die. They keep you talking about your goals while your life stays the same. So if you want to move forward, you must stop defending your excuses. You must stop justifying your lack of action. You must stop letting your comfort dictate your destiny, because time respects discipline, not excuses. And when you choose to eliminate excuses, you choose to become unstoppable. Let me ask you a question that will test your seriousness. What are you building your future on, your dreams or your routine? Because dreams are beautiful, but routines are what make dreams real. Most people think success is a big event that happens overnight. They imagine a single moment where everything changes. But the truth is, success is not a moment. It is a process. It is a system. And that system is built on daily routines. Your routine is the foundation of your future. If your routine is weak, your future will be weak. If your routine is strong, your future becomes unstoppable. Here's the thing most people don't understand. Your routine is not just what you do, it is who you become. Your routine shapes your character. It shapes your habits. It shapes your beliefs. It shapes your identity. When you consistently do something, you are not just doing it, you are becoming the type of person who does it. That's why discipline matters so much, because discipline is the force that creates your routine. Discipline is the bridge between your goals and your reality. Without a routine, your goals are just dreams. Without a routine, your plans are just wishes. Without a routine, your future is uncertain. Now listen closely, your future is not built in a moment. It is built in your daily habits. The person you become is the result of the actions you repeat every day. If you want a life of abundance, you must adopt habits that create abundance. If you want a life of health, you must adopt habits that create health. If you want a life of success, you must adopt habits that create success. And habits don't appear by accident. They are created by routines. Routines are the invisible architecture of your life. They determine whether you rise or fall. They determine whether you succeed or stay stagnant. Let me give you a powerful truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your routine. Most people set goals that are too big for their current routine. And because they don't have the daily structure to support their goals, they fail. Not because they lack ability, but because they lack consistency. A goal without a routine is like a ship without a compass. You may have a destination, but you will never reach it. You will drift, you will waste time, you will lose momentum, and time will pass you by. Here is the most important part. Your routine must support your dream. Your routine must reflect your priorities. If you want success, your routine must include actions that move you closer to success every day. If you want wealth, your routine must include activities that increase your value. If you want personal growth, your routine must include learning and development. Your routine must be intentional. It must be designed. It must be disciplined. Because a routine without purpose is just busy work. And busy work does not build a future. Ask yourself this: what are you doing today that your future self will thank you for? Because the future you will be grateful for the choices you make today. The future you will be shaped by your habits today. The future you will be created by your routine today. When you build a routine that aligns with your goals, you begin to experience a shift. You begin to feel more confident. You begin to feel more powerful. You begin to feel like you are in control. And that control is what success is built on. Remember this: your routine is not a punishment. It is a privilege. It is the structure that allows you to achieve your dreams. It is the framework that creates your destiny. The question is not whether you have time for a routine. The question is whether you have a future worth fighting for. Because if you want time to respect you, you must build a routine that deserves respect. Your future is waiting, but it will not wait forever. The time to build your routine is now. And the moment you do, your life will begin to change in ways you never thought possible. Let me ask you something that will hit you right where it matters. Do you talk more about your goals than you actually work on them? Because the world is full of people who can speak with confidence but can't deliver with consistency. They have a strong voice, but a weak follow-through. They can describe their dreams in detail, but when it comes to the daily grind, they disappear. This is the difference between intention and action. And it's the difference between a life that is lived and a life that is wasted. The world does not care about your intentions. The world cares about your actions. Intentions are like a promise you make to yourself that you never keep. You say, I will start tomorrow. I will work harder next week. I will change my habits soon. But the problem is, soon is a trap. Soon is a way of postponing your life. It is a way of avoiding responsibility. And time does not wait for soon. Time moves regardless of what you say you will do. You can plan your entire life around intentions, but if you don't take action, your plans are just illusions. You can imagine your success, but you cannot imagine the results. Results come from action. Now listen carefully. Actions create results, and results create momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates power. Power creates influence, and influence creates legacy. It all starts with action. This is why successful people are not necessarily the most talented. They are the most active. They are the ones who take consistent steps even when they don't feel motivated. They are the ones who turn their intentions into actions and their actions into results. That is what time respects. Time respects action. Let me ask you another question. What are you doing every day that proves your intentions are real? Because intentions without evidence are just noise. They are empty words. They don't move you closer to your goals. They don't build your future. They don't earn you respect. The world doesn't give awards for good intentions. It gives rewards for results. And if you want to be respected by time, you must produce results. You must show up. You must do the work. You must take the steps, even when the steps are small. Because small steps, repeated consistently, lead to massive outcomes. Here's the hard truth. Most people are not lazy. They are inconsistent. They are inconsistent because they rely on their feelings. They rely on motivation. They rely on inspiration. But inspiration is not a reliable source. It comes and goes. It is not a dependable fuel. Discipline is. Discipline is the engine that keeps you moving when motivation disappears. When you act consistently, you build trust with yourself. You prove to yourself that you are capable. And that proof is powerful. It changes your mindset. It changes your identity. It changes your life. Think about this. The person you become is the sum of the actions you take daily. If you want to become successful, you must do successful things daily. If you want to become wealthy, you must do wealth-building activities daily. If you want to become healthy, you must do health-building activities daily. It's not about the big moments. It's about the small moments repeated over time. Your actions are the building blocks of your destiny. Every action is a vote for the person you want to become. Every action is a step toward your future. And the moment you understand that, you stop talking and start doing so. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for the perfect conditions. Stop waiting for the perfect mindset. The perfect moment is a myth. The perfect conditions are an illusion. If you want results, you must act now. You must take action today. Because time does not care about your intentions. Time respects your actions. Time respects your results. And time respects your discipline. When you stop living on intention and start living on action, your life will change, your progress will accelerate, your confidence will rise, and your future will begin to unfold in a way you never imagined possible. Let me ask you a question that will reveal your true mindset. Do you view discipline as a restriction or as a pathway to freedom? Most people misunderstand discipline. They think discipline is a form of punishment, a way to make life harder. They think discipline means giving up what they enjoy. But that is the mindset of someone who is not winning. The truth is the opposite. Discipline is not a prison. Discipline is a key. Discipline is the tool that unlocks the life you want. It is the structure that creates your freedom. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you will begin to live on a higher level. Here is the reality. Freedom without discipline is chaos. When you have no structure, you have no direction. You may feel free in the moment, but you will end up trapped by your own lack of control. People who live without discipline are often slaves to their impulses. They are controlled by their cravings, their emotions, their distractions, and their excuses. They may think they are free, but they are actually being controlled by their habits. True freedom comes from mastery. Mastery comes from discipline. When you discipline yourself, you gain control over your actions, your time, your focus, and your future. Let me make this very clear. Discipline is not about denying yourself. It is about empowering yourself. It is about choosing what you want more than what you want now. The ability to delay gratification is one of the most powerful skills a PE our son can develop. The person who can say no to temporary pleasure for long-term gain is the person who wins, because long-term success requires sacrifice. It requires focus. It requires the ability to stay committed when the excitement fades. And discipline is the force that makes that possible. Discipline is the bridge between desire and achievement. Now listen carefully. Discipline creates freedom because it gives you control over your time. When you are disciplined, you are not constantly reacting to life. You are designing your life. You are building a schedule. You are setting priorities. You are taking ownership of your actions. You are not waiting for motivation. You are not waiting for permission. You are not waiting for someone else to save you. You are taking responsibility. And that responsibility is the foundation of freedom. Because freedom is not the absence of rules. Freedom is the presence of self-control. Freedom is the ability to choose your future instead of being forced into it. Think about this. The person who is disciplined in their finances is free from debt. The person who is disciplined in their health is free from illness. The person who is disciplined in their learning is free from ignorance. The person who is disciplined in their habits is free from regret. Discipline gives you the power to shape your life instead of letting life shape you. It gives you the ability to build the future you want. And that is the true definition of freedom. Freedom is not a random gift. It is a result. It is a reward. And it is earned through discipline. Here is the most powerful part. Discipline becomes easier over time. The more you practice discipline, the stronger it becomes. It becomes a habit. It becomes your identity. It becomes a part of who you are. And once discipline becomes a part of you, you no longer need to rely on motivation. You no longer need to wait for inspiration. You simply do what needs to be done. You become unstoppable. Your actions become automatic. Your progress becomes inevitable. That is the power of discipline. That is the freedom it creates. So the question is not whether you want discipline. The question is whether you want the freedom that discipline creates. Because discipline is not a restriction. It is a gateway. It is the path to a life of purpose, power, and peace. And the moment you embrace discipline, you will realize that time respects discipline, not excuses. You will realize that your future is built by your daily choices. And you will begin to live a life that is not controlled by circumstances, but directed by your own determination. So if you want time to respect you, stop asking time for mercy and start showing time mastery. Be disciplined when it's boring. Be disciplined when it's hard. Be disciplined when motivation disappears. Because time doesn't crown the loudest dreamer. It crowns the most consistent executor. Remember this. Time respects discipline, not excuses. And the moment you choose discipline, time starts working for you instead of against you.